don't worry, gang. The chief is here. And he's ready to be the chief. Bring it up there. Thank you, Art. Very good. Very good. Thank God it's Friday. Hey, speaking of thank God it's Friday, we received a note from one of our victims out there who said, hey, Shepard, did you ever build a kit? Did I ever build a kit? Did I ever build a kit? Let me tell you this. I think that there are more people who secretly have on their conscience not a kit that they built, but a kit that they bought but didn't build. I just wonder how many guys have got hidden in closets a 1/10 completed kit of a harpsichord. As a matter of fact, I know a guy that almost committed suicide over just a thing like that. He spent a year trying to figure out how he could buy him a harpsichord kit, and when he got it, he discovered that it was not that simple. And well, I know a friend. Listen, that's not so funny. I know a friend who read an ad. You get these ads say, no problem at all. Earn big money in your spare time, making doilies. Something like that. This guy, or here was another one. It says the ad that he fell for. It said, do you have a Volkswagen? Wouldn't you like to convert your Volkswagen to this dynamic new sports car? Just a few hours at night in your basement with a few simple tools, and you'll have this dynamic car, which all your friends will think is a Ferrari, and it'll go even faster than a Ferrari. And it's only going to cost you $742.97 plus postal charges from Almaguerdo, New Mexico. So anyway, he did this. So he sent for this thing, and they got all excited. He and his buddy were going to they're going to make their they had this VW. They bought old VW for $300 somewhere, and they were going to convert this VW into a car that would rival at least the Lotus, with the overtones of the Lamborghini, little touches of the Ferrari 4.1. It looked fantastic in the end. Well, he said a couple of weeks went by, and the weeks stretched into months. And he was getting a little anxious. So he had his simple tools out. He himself, he did not realize is a simple tool. But he had thank you, Art. I knew I'd get you finally. He had his simple tools out, like he had his ice pick. Most people have these kind of simple tools. He had 2 screwdrivers that he bought down at Lamston's. He had his 98-cent wrench that he bought in one of these 98-cent discount drugstores. He had all his simple tools ready. He had his Radio Shack soldering iron. He was all set to build a VW. It was going to look fantastic. Well, he wrote, and he wrote, and he wrote, and finally he got a letter back from this place. It said, due to production problems that we are having with our new dynamic Grand Prix type model, which you have been so smart as to order and pay for, due to production problems, we are unable to deliver it at the original cost that was in the ad. However, we would be glad to give you a special discount on our new price. Since you paid $795.23 already, and now the price is up to $1,745.19, we will sell it to you for only $1,500, $31.27, plus postage from Alamogordo, New Mexico. He said, what? So he called his friend on the phone. He says, hey, friend, they've just doubled the price on our fantastic Volkswagen. But even at that, that's still cheap. Remember, for $1,500, we're going to have a car that looks like the Ferrari, only it goes better. And it's easy to repair, and we can make it up, in a few hours with our simple home tools. And the friend says, well, okay, we'll have to get together, and we'll spend a little more extra dough. And after all, it's worth the price, Aki. So Aki and the friend got together, and they raised a little more scratch. One guy sold his daughter into slavery. The other guy sold his lawn to his neighbor down the street. They removed it in wheelbarrows. And they were ready to make a deal. So he sent off the money order. And he waited a week. He waited 2 weeks. He waited 3 weeks. He waited 4 weeks. He waited 5 weeks. He waited 6 weeks. And then he sent the next letter, see? And the next letter he wrote up, says, dear sirs, we are waiting here with our simple tools all laid out in our basement workshop here next to the old refrigerator we got down here. And we're ready to get our car on the road. Please tell us what happened. And another week went by, another week, 2 weeks went by. Then finally got a letter. It says, dear prospective purchaser, He said, what do you mean prospective? I bought. Dear prospective purchaser, due to production difficulties which we have run into here on this end, we've been forced to raise the prices of our new dynamic Volkswagen Lamborghini model to only $3,942.12. However, because you were one of the early purchasers, we will... He's still in negotiation. It's been 2.5 years. It's up to $8,000. He still has his simple tools. And incidentally, he still is a simple tool. Bring it up. Oh, by the way, I say by the way. Oh, by the way. When we meet. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, I don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Oh. Baby, let's sing it out, King. They're singing well tonight, Art. That's excellent. Yes, sir, that's my baby. So you like that little saga of the man who bought the kit, right? Well, listen, I have another friend. I could burden you with stories of despairing men who have thought seriously of hurling themselves off the Brooklyn Bridge because of making one false step, sending in the coupon. Yeah, did I ever tell you about the friend of mine who decided he was going to build a massive, gigantic, beautiful color organ? You know what a color organ is? You know what this is? Well, it's an organ. You know, you have this, it's like a Hammond organ, a thing you play, see? And it makes these tooting sounds. It has Vox tremolo. It has Chinese wood blocks. It has the whole works on it, see? And not only that, but it has a gigantic screen that covers the entire living room wall. And as you play, you know, like the mad hunchback of Notre Dame, as you play on your gigantic color organ, all these magnificent colors go floating across the screen: red, yellow, green, purple, and it's just a tremendous aesthetic experience. Well, this friend of mine sent for the plans, and he thought, you know, that'd be kind of nice over there next to the ferns, you know, just on the other side of the Sony there, just have this color organ. It's going to be tremendous. And he could see himself, mystifying and amazing his friends, because all these ads say that. Are you a wallflower? For years, if you had a house, everybody says ho-hum when they come into your house, and they smell the old fried potatoes from last week in the house. And have you got that kind of house? Do you, Art? No, of course not, Art. That Taj Mahal you live in over there in Teaneck. My God. So, nevertheless... many people are brought into this thing by the premise of better yourself, you see, self-improvement, to improve your social status. As a matter of fact, I was 7 when I personally bit for that improve your social status thing. There was an ad that appeared in Boy's Life. It says, boys, have you ever envied those friends of yours who could sit down to the piano and play all those great things, and everybody sings around a campfire while you're playing the piano? And you're the center of everything? Well, I don't have to tell you. I took all my birthday money and I bought myself a magic slide rule device to learn how to play the Steinway. And it says 7 minutes a day. No problem. 7 minutes a day, 7 days a week, and you've got yourself playing by the end of the second week with both hands, the way they put it. It didn't say how good you're playing, but you got both hands going at the same time. See, so there was only one major problem. We didn't have any piano. But I had the magic slide rule device. However, then I quickly segued to the guitar. I wonder how many people out there have taken abortive guitar lessons. You see these great scenes, the guys sitting there singing his stuff, Chris Christopherson is playing away, singing. You imagine yourself with a circle of admiring friends while you're singing these sorrowful songs of the open road and the Depression days and the Union songs. Now, folks, I'd like to entertain you with a little tune that come out of the West Virginia mountains. And you see yourself doing this stuff. See? Oh God. You realize, of course, that the music industry is largely based on guys that never learned how to play them. In fact, I have a friend who at one time worked in this big music store down here in town. I'm not going to tell you which one it was, but he said that according to their unofficial statistics, out of every 1,000 guitars that were sold, less than 0.03 guitars actually were ultimately played. The others were just bought. Big difference between buying a guitar and playing it. Yeah, and I bought this, like this friend of mine that bought the $700 flute. And he wound up one day, he didn't know what to do with it. He tried to play it. He discovered that many are called, few are chosen in that field. That's a mean one to play, right? Many a flute will snap back at you, you know. And the more you play the flute, the more you get cold sores. He discovered this, too. And especially when you have a terrible malocclusion, playing a flute is not the easiest thing in the world. So you know what he wound up doing with the flute? It's 700 bills, $700 for the flute. He wound up repairing a sink one day with it. He was looking for a piece of pipe. You want to hear more stories of disaster of guys that wrote in for the bad? They wrote in. Let me tell you about this friend of mine. You want to hear about another one? Just be careful, friends. It's self-improvement that does it. Everybody wants to improve his lot. And that's the biggest trap of all. I mean, the lot improvement trap. Well, after all, your lot is easy to improve. But with all those tin cans out in the back there, you just heave them into your neighbor's lot next door. And he'll improve your lot one of these days with that over and under double barrel 12 he got. But nevertheless, I don't know why I'm talking like this. I really don't. I mean, I should be here delivering to you inspirational messages at this time, right? Right. Inspirational messages. Well, I knew one. Let me think here. I was going to give you an inspirational message. Always on the tip of my tongue. When I came in here tonight, I said, give them an inspirational message in this time of travail, especially since it's almost the weekend. And they should have a little inspiration. Did you brush your teeth today, huh? Oh, well, that's not very inspirational. Have you noticed that they're now tying in the various toothpaste with sex? Have you noticed that? Of course. There's the non-sexy toothpaste, and then there's the sexy toothpaste. And you've got to be careful which one you use. You want to be, you don't want to be discovered using a toothpaste that just cleans your teeth. So, well, all right, I don't know what that is that you use. Curious. He's got these lavender teeth. It's very interesting, Art. Well, all right, Don, that was obscene gestures do not work on radio. They simply don't. Although that was colorful. Where'd you learn that one? It's very interesting. It's Oriental, huh? Very good. Very good. Well, that's what happens when you're in the armed services. You can learn to pick up all kinds of languages around the world. Well, nevertheless, this friend of mine, I'll tell you another sad story of a buddy of mine. He was sitting there one day, and this was a TV station I was working in one time, and all TV types are notoriously clean-limbed. They really are. They tend to jog a lot, do all that kind of stuff, and they're constantly getting hair replants. I know one guy that had a hair replant on his chest. And, he didn't have much there to begin with, see, so he liked to make a nice appearance on the beach. So, all right, I don't make the news, Art. I only report it. I wish none of these things happened. I really do. I wish the world traveled in a simple, beautiful, straight line, and all of us lived in utopia. I wish this devoutly, although it would be boring as all get out, wouldn't it? My God, can you imagine everybody being nice? Can you imagine Orville coming in and smiling at you? Can you imagine what that would do to the day? I mean, all these things You just got to be careful, friends. So you don't want utopia, but my friend thought that he was going to get it. See, there was a flyer came in. You know, have you noticed that your credit card now is much more in the business of selling you stuff? Personally, the credit card company. I get letters from my credit card people now. You know, I get these credit cards. And I get a credit card letter, sometimes it weighs maybe 3 or 4 pounds. And I open it up, it says, "Dear cardholder, due to a special purchase now, you can buy this magnificent, unbelievably beautiful, high-fidelity system, which sells everywhere for $79.95. Through your card, you can buy for only $119.95. It's a beautiful system." And, you know, so they never tell you how much it costs, actually. It just says so much a month. It says down at the bottom, it says $6.19 a month. Why, that's nothing. With the way you're spending dough, oh, my God, $6.19 a month is nothing. Of course, it'll be till, you know, roughly $19.97 before you get that $12 hi-fi set paid for. But who cares? What the hell? Here today, gone tomorrow, right, gang? Burning all your bridges behind you is what I say. Give me a little more of that. That's what I say. You're the same thing, What do you mean? What do you mean? Yes, sir, that's my baby. I say, that's my baby. Let's all sing it out, gang. Yes, sir, I say, that's my baby now. I want to hear it. Oh, who's that walking down the street? Down the street, I say. Who's that? Who's that looking so petite? Who's that coming down the street? I don't know either. I don't know, but look at you. Look pretty good. Who's that? I say, who it is? Here we go now. Here's the chorus, gang. Sing it now. Let's sing it out. Yes, sir. That's my baby. I said, no, sir. Don't mean maybe. Yes, sir. That's my baby now. Papa doodle. Papa. Oh, that's enough. That's enough, Arthur. Please. We can just have so much of a good thing, you know. You gotta ration this stuff, this good stuff. You got to be careful of this self-improvement gaff, because you can be led into terrible things. Yes, there was a diet that came out here about 2 years ago. This diet where you know, people are always buying new diet books, and this diet said that if you drank creme de menthe, it was the creme de menthe and banana coconut diet. And this friend of mine went on this one. Yeah, oh yeah, they were talking about it on all the TV shows for maybe 7-8 minutes. And there was a famous doctor who appeared and said it was the best thing since bottled beer, and that you know, people who go on this diet no longer have any heart attacks, live forever, lose 115 pounds in 12 minutes, you know, that kind of thing. Well, my buddy went on it. Within 5 days, he had green fingernails, and more than that, he gained over 175 pounds. He was having a hell of a time. He was bombed most of the time. You go on a creme de menthe diet, and you don't care whether you get fat or not. And you know, then he had to go on the martini diet to get off of that one. You remember the martini diet? You don't remember the martini? He went on the martini diet, and of course, by the end of the month, he had DTs. He was staggering around 3rd Avenue. Geez, it was terrible. Then he finally went on this all carbohydrate diet, you know, where you eat nothing but whipped cream. And I want to tell you, whipped cream does not mix well with martinis. And, well, you know, 6 1/2. He's given up now, and he just sits back there now in the traffic department, does his thing, makes his little sculptures that he makes out of paper clips. That's about all. He's given up. You see, the trouble with most self-improvement is within self-improvement lies the germ of total and complete disillusionment. And you don't want that added to the rest of your problems, do you? I mean, you know, it's enough to be mad at everybody else, but then when you get mad at yourself, that's disillusionment. You don't want that. This friend of mine, for example, I'll tell you, all right, Stanley. You want to know who it was? Stanley. You heard me mention Stanley before. Stanley was sitting there one day, and he announced his lounge in the TV station, and he'd gotten this flyer. See, it says a special tour of Central Europe, which is only to card holders. And he was a card holder. He had some obscure credit card that somebody foisted off on him at one time. The credit card, by the way, was good no place. He tried to use it for years, but it was only good to get mail from and to pay $12 a year to use. That's what and it was beautiful. It was a gold one. And it said, special credit card only, you know, certain credit cards are only given to really important people. Yes, you can now get gold credit cards, which show that you're not the ordinary credit card holder. You got the gold card, which means you're You're an unbelievable sucker is what that means. So, here's a real mark coming in, This guy, $5 tip, you give him this rotten service, poured a beer down his neck, and he give you $5. He's a high roller. So, nevertheless, this friend of mine, he had this special credit card, see? That's a way to get you, He got this gold embossed letter. It says, "Dear important person, we have been watching you now for 2 years and have had detectives following you. And we have done a close check on you, and you're one of only 275 people in this country who are qualified to have our new, totally important person credit card." And, of course, he's sucker right away. So he sent it in. He got the credit card. And the special kind of credit card, it's the only credit card I ever saw that you wear on your lapel. You see, most of them you go in your pocket. See, this was such an important one. It had a pin on the back to let everybody know you had it. So he's walking around wearing his credit card. He even wore it on his pajamas and stuff, let everybody know, especially when he went to certain places. But nevertheless, he got a letter from these guys one day. It says, "Only to credit card holders, a special tour of Central Europe is now available, which would cost you thousands of dollars if you were not a member of our group. But since you are a member of the group, it will only cost you thousands of dollars. But not as many thousands of dollars as it would have cost you had not you been a member of our group. You will live in luxurious appointments that are only given to the truly beautiful jet-set people, that are closed to the ordinary run and muck and rabble of the ordinary walking around slob. You will be brought into the most beautiful places in all of Central Europe. You will travel in luxurious, magnificent, private traveling methods will be taken. Send right now within the next 15 minutes or it's all over. You don't get in on this." Well, of course, he had his 2 weeks coming up, and it was a 10-day tour. So this was the first opportunity he had to use his card. So he sent in the coupon, "Book me." And they did, friends. I want to tell you, it was a fantastic thing that happened to him. Not more than 3 days later, he was sitting in this fly-blown bar, which is where they were ordered to sleep that night. He says, here he was, first time he ever was told to sleep in the bar. He's sleeping in the bar in this waterfront cafe in Marseille, where there was nothing but guys being shanghaied all around him on coal boats that were going to places like Timbuktu and Guadalcanal and stuff. And he's sitting there, and he says he's with 3 other guys that also had this credit card. He says they haven't eaten for 2 years. He felt like, and he says, and what was amazing is that they were being taken around Central Europe in a 7-year-old Volkswagen van that was driven by a drug-crazed hippie. And he said, "Oh, God." Well, 10 days later, after he got back, he'd lost over 30 pounds. Well, you do, in those Marseille jails. And he had lost over 30 pounds. And he realized the credit card was right. It was the kind of tour that is only given to a few to take. He was busted for carrying marijuana into Turkey, and he didn't even have marijuana. They were taking him into Turkey on this trip, and they discovered the van was stuffed full of marijuana. The back tires didn't have air in them. It had Mexican red. And he was busted. Oh, God, he said it was a fantastic trip. Only cost him $1,790. He said, just think if he'd have taken it through the American Express, it would have only cost him $2,300. But he wouldn't have seen all those great jails and stuff. Not everybody. He's got stories now to tell his friends for the rest of his life. Of course, he's got a record, too, now. He can't go back to, say, Bulgaria. He's been banned completely from Bulgaria. But, these are the tours. Did I ever tell you about the friend of mine? Oh, I could go on and on. That took a tour one time for Barbados on this luxury liner. Yeah. 2 hours out of Port Everglades, it lost power. It drifted sideways 700 miles upstream. And they were finally rescued by the Coast Guard off of Nova Scotia. You want to hear about that? They were eating K rations for over 500 miles. Yeah, they were dropping them. Oh, that's a great tour. But I don't know why you... Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? You get used to traveling on a raft. All right? What do you mean? After a while, you kind of get to like the raft, and you're sitting there, you and your other shipwrecked friends. And, they charge you per day for them rafts. You don't get those rafts free, when you go overboard, But, oh, yeah, did you know that there was once a tour took off from I believe it was France. And this has nothing to do with any known tour that you know about, but this tour took off from France, and they started off across the Mediterranean, and halfway across the Mediterranean, the ship lost power, as some of those 500-year-old Liberty ships do, once in a while, with with those ancient. Some of them got engines that were made by the original Greeks. When Tyre was still a swinging seaport, and the Phoenicians were operating the motors. So anyway, they got halfway out into the Med this night. They lost power, and 2 hours later they were boarded by pirates. And yes, did you know there are still pirates around? 2 hours later they were boarded by pirates who stripped them right down to their BVDs, and they took off in this torpedo boat that the pirates were using. Off into the darkness they went, and it turns out that half the crew was part of the pirate crowd. That's why they lost power, see? So they left. So next thing you know, they took to the boats. And, that's all they could do. So they're rowing these lifeboats halfway across the Med. They finally got picked up by the Algerian Coast Guard, which took them, incidentally, charged them for picking them up. They don't work free. So each guy had to chip in, $500 for the Algerian Coast Guard helicopter and all that. They finally got him in. And it turns out that 2 weeks later, he got a bill from the steamship company for $17 a day for the use of the lifeboat. Did you know they charge you for them lifeboats? Well, that's part of the service. That doesn't come free, I mean, yes, you go on many of these boats, they charge you for the deck chair. You know that. You know that? Huh? Did you know that? You didn't? Oh, well, that's true. You haven't been on anything other than the Staten Island Ferry. They don't have deck chairs on there. Oh, well. But this evening here, friends, the show is devoted to self-improvement. And I think you can improve yourself. The first thing you can do is, for God's sake, stop listening to the radio. I mean, anybody you don't think Jackie Onassis sits around and listens to the radio, do you? Come on. Are you kidding? You don't think for a minute that Warren Beatty sits around with this Sears Roebuck radio, and he sits there with his mouth hanging open, listening to the interviews all night. Are you kidding? So you can start self-improving by, for heaven's sakes, cutting off that. And then you can wean yourself of watching Hawaii Five-0. Now, how do you do that? Well, that's not so easy for the real Jack Lord freaks. That's not easy at all. Have you ever had the feeling that Jack Lord is involved? I have a curious feeling that he's out of he reminds me of one of these characters out of what was that great movie? Oh shucks, it's right on the tip of my nose. Westland, Westville, something like that. Yeah, it had Yul Brynner in it, and it was great. Where they had all these robots. West something. It was a Michael Crichton book, but it was really a wild movie. Well, the movie was based primarily also on taking the ultimate tour. You see, when the movie opened up, what's the matter with me? What's the matter? This is the kind of stuff I remember, and I can't remember it. Don't tell me. West. It was a takeoff on Disneyland, is what it was, and West something, and nevertheless. Oh, you want to hear about you talk about tours. Listen, I want to tell you, friends. Everybody has an idea that travel is great, right? Everybody thinks everywhere you go is great. I will not give you the name of the land. I will not give you the name of the land that I was in at this point. But I can remember this was a land, let's put it this way, it was a long way from here. I mean, you could hardly go any further from here. if you want to really take some traveling. I'll tell you some true travel stories. Have you noticed that every travel program on TV, every place they go is just beautiful? The people are marvelous. Their folk music is haunting. Their food is indescribably great. I mean, does that look like the world that you've been living in? I mean, I imagine that there are people doing travel shows in Europe, and they show the 2-week trip they took of the Sheepshead Bay section of Brooklyn. And, the colorful natives and the beautiful streets and the native costumes and the haunting food. Shows a guy eating a hot dog with the sauerkraut dripping out. The haunting native food, which is indescribable. That's true, it is indescribable. But I woke up one morning in a country. Well, first of all, I'll tell you, when I woke up, the first morning I woke up in this country, the temperature stood at 119 degrees, for starters. Now, I mean, it was 119 and it was only 7 in the morning. That was like the beginning of the day. It was 119 degrees. And what woke me up? No. You think it was the heat that woke me up? Forget it. When you're a world traveler, heat doesn't wake you up, friends. What woke me up was the overwhelming, unbelievably, totally all-pervasive smell of ancient, dead, rotting fish. The whole country smelled like rotten fish. Now, I don't know whether you like the smell of rotten fish, but I could take it or leave it. It depends on the kind of fish. If it's rotten red snapper, that's not so bad. But if it's rotten mud minnows, that's something else. But here it was, rotting dead fish. I woke up in the morning, see, 119 degrees. And I lay on my sweat-soaked pallet, which apparently was stuffed with crawdad tails or something. It's the strangest bed I ever was laying on. Because, of course, part of the native philosophy was the masochistic bed of nails philosophy. And I'm laying on this sack, covered with sweat, and I see above me, quietly walking across the sweat-stained ceiling that appeared to have what looked like dried blood stains on it. It was fantastic. I mean, I woke up, and there is a tarantula spider walking across. Must have weighed 18 pounds. I woke up. I looked around the room. I immediately realized that 2 of my bags had been stolen and my left shoe. That was just the beginning of my stay in this colorful land. Well, I staggered to my feet, and as I did so, I noticed for the first time that I was on the edge of delirium. I had contracted already the dreaded native fever, which all the natives lived under for all of their lives. They were all in a state of delirium at all times because it was a rare spider that bit you in the dark, and this is how you got the fever. I had been bitten already. So I staggered out into the hallway, hoping for at least a cup of coffee or something to get the day underway. Not a sound. Nobody's down there. I walked on this dank hallway that was covered with sweat and mold and grime, and behind me the tarantulas were stalking me. I went down into the lobby of the hotel, and the desk clerk was asleep in an opium dream. He was laying there asleep, see, and I was glad to note that somebody had also stolen his shoes, too. He's laying across the desk, and I went up to him. They had this little bell to ring. I go, ding, ding. Bum Sahib. This is bakshish. I says, wait a minute, you're the desk clerk. You're not going to ask me for a handout. Bakshish, nothing. Where do I get any coffee around here? Bakshish, Sahib, bakshish. Oh, my God, what am I in? So I staggered out into the street, and that was only the beginning of my exciting day. When I came back, by the way, I did 3 magnificent radio shows about what a beautiful land this was and how all of you should visit it at your first opportunity. 7 of my visitors and my listeners actually took it to heart, and they went. 3 of them actually got back. The other 4, I think they are lost in the heart of a waterfront dive in some dank, far-off shore, hoping for the beautiful sights that you ought to see the temples there. Temples are fantastic. You're knee-deep in, I don't know. This gets pretty sickening, friends. But all I can say is that self-improvement is a possible goal. Now, you can do many things to improve yourself. First of all, you can sit cross-legged and stare for hours at the darkened screen of your Panasonic television set, hoping for an insight. I mean, with it off. Don't turn it on. You won't get any insight with it on. Turn it with it off. See your own pictures there. Either that or turn it to a channel that doesn't have anything on it, like here in town. Let's see, what would be a good one? Channel 6, right? There's nothing on 6. Okay, turn it on Channel 6, and all that white stuff comes there. When you get very close to the screen and concentrate, and you'll see some unbelievable pictures, friends. Just, it takes concentration. Concentration, right. Especially if you get over to, say, another good one is Channel 12 here in town. That's a goodie. 10 isn't bad, but 12 is the good one. Concentrate, concentrate, concentrate. Turn up the contrast. Then turn down the contrast. Turn it up again. And before long, you'll see your own pictures, and you begin to live your own life. And things will begin to sing. And the next time you get one of them coupons, send off. By God, take life by the horns. Live it right to the hill.
That was Inside Gene Shepherd, which came to you transcribed from New York.